I know y'all know me, so I'm not going to do my own introduction or anything like that. You're going to find out a lot about me through this presentation. But I am Stacy, right? Stacy G, as some like to refer to me.
Yeah.
And so, whenever I heard that we didn't have a motivational speaker for the conference scheduled and they really weren't sure if they were going to get one, I did a lot of soul searching, and I actually talked to Stacy and said, what do y'all think about me doing it? Because it's something a lot of people don't know about me. Probably the only person who knew is my baby sister, is that one of my lifelong goals was to eventually become a motivational speaker. But I thought it was going to be when I was like old and gray and had a lot of stories, because right now I'm still very, very young and I don't have as many stories, but the ones that I do have, I'm going to kind of share with you guys and kind of parlay it. So I jumped at the opportunity, and I was very surprised when she was like, yeah, sure. But then I found out I wasn't getting paid. And I know how much. Right. I was in the perfect budget. I might get $5 if there's some left over, right? But you know what? Y'all are my guinea pigs. So I figured it's a win-win. So if y'all are going to suffer through it, it's because I'm not getting paid. So that's how it works. So I don't know if everybody knows what a meme is, but I'm obsessed with them because I think they're hilarious. I think they're very innovative. And if you don't know what a meme is, it's whenever you're scrolling through Facebook and you see those pictures of weird things and they put weird captions to them sometimes, or there's no picture and it's just a caption of a conversation or something like that. I think they're pretty clever. So what ends up happening is I go through and I get lost in a world of memes and I save them all. And what ended up happening is I created a Pinterest board just for those memes. And I literally have 1,000 of them in there. And there's one for every occasion. So whenever I was like, what am I going to talk about? I figured I could just pull up all of my memes and put them in order for you guys, and that would be the presentation. So that's literally what I've done. And I'm just, yeah. So you're just going to see a lot of pictures. I'm really not talking. It's just picture after picture after picture. But since we did have a theme this week about RAID, right? I thought, why don't I incorporate some of that? But what I'm going to do is kind of stretch your mind a little bit and twist it up on you. We're going to go backwards, okay? So, Jenny, how do I work this? Is it on? Oh, it's not on. Okay, and then? There we go. So, we're going to start off with D for dedication, right? Let's talk about being born. How many of you remember being born? Nobody. Nobody remembers being born, because all that happened, right, is you were baked for a little while and then they spit you out. They didn't even, you know how we talk about Jenny's emails and reminders? They didn't do that when you were born. They might have checked that you had your toes and your fingers, but what a lot of people don't know is that when you're born, you don't have, your brain is not fully developed yet. So they send you out into the world with toes and fingers, but not a functional brain yet. Like, you're already set up for failure. Right? It doesn't really fully develop until you're like way into your like 7, 8 or something like that. So you go your whole life without this functional brain. Right? But for me, whenever you think about being born, it's a process. And eventually you start to grow up and you develop your brain, and then we become adults. And some of us might not still have fully functioning brains. That's pretty questionable. But at least we look like we do. And we have to adult. We adult every single day. What does adulting mean? For me, adulting means failure. Flat out. Failure. And I'm going to explain to you guys. Failure is around us every single day. So many people had to fail for us to get here, right? You think about bridges and highways, Think of all the times that somebody had to attempt at making one of those things and see it fail for it to actually work. Think about you as a kid when you were trying to learn how to walk. You probably failed 99 times until that 100th time you finally did it. So we are surrounded by failure every day. Did you know that Thomas Edison attempted that light bulb 10,000 times before it became a success? Can you imagine our life today without a light bulb? So we're surrounded by reminders of failure. So failure, I know, is very taboo. People hear, oh, failure is, you're a failure, and they take it so personal. But we need failure in the world to be where we're at today. Even in our industry, we learn from our failures. Do we not? All the time. Average human, or I'm not human, adult, probably fails 10 times a day and you don't even realize it. You fail at things without knowing that you failed. Well, I mean, sometimes we do. I fail at love, fail at cooking, right? Some of us fail at haircuts, Roxy. But it's not a bad thing. I think as adults, we get that taboo of, oh, failure's bad. I can't admit that I failed. I can't do this and I can't do that. And that's where I like to think about kids and dogs, right? I know I don't have any kids, but I have 3 beautiful baby dogs. They're not babies, but I've raised them. And even though I'm not a parent of an actual child, I would like to think that raising a kid is kind of like raising a dog, just a little different, right? So yeah, not close. I'm way off. You can tell me if I'm way off. I get it. But if you let me think about it. Dogs, like kids, need structure. They know they get fed in the morning and they get fed at night, and they're happy, they go lucky. And I mean, I know kids in between, you got to do other things, but I mean, that's fine. They'll live. They got to tough it out like the rest of us. But the thing about kids and dogs is there's two things about them. They are persistent as hell, right? Why? Why can't I? But I want it. But why? But I love you. But why? Mom, right? Same thing with dogs. They want a treat. There's no getting around it. They want that treat. But the other thing is that they are great at understanding what an unfiltered love is like. They're just genuine and pure. They're born to love. They don't know any other thing, right? You from a baby, you give them so much love, and it's not until they get older and start getting their own mind and personality that they learn all that other stuff, right? They're born with an unfiltered heart. Same thing with dogs. Dogs don't care. They love you all day, every day. I love going home to my dogs. Like, that's the highlight of my day sometimes, is getting all those cuddles and stuff. But when it comes to kids, I want to show you, I'm going to skip through some of them because I think we're down to like 30 minutes before y'all have to get ready. But I'm going to show y'all this video. We're working? We were working. I broke it. All right, I'm going to narrate it for you. How about that? Better. So what they're doing is they're giving kids $1, and they're giving them a choice. Like, there's the ice. We're not even giving them the choice. They give them the $1, and they're saying, "Here, go buy an ice cream." But right when they go to buy the ice cream, they notice that there is a homeless man sitting there right there. And if you watch them, it's pretty interesting. You could see the mind going, right? You could see what they're thinking and what they choose to do. I mean, this is uncoached. This is them just being them. I've actually witnessed this before, this happening, this kind of just unselfishness and this love, right? That's what they're born with. And it's really cute because I think at the very last one, this little girl, You could see her, right? And I know what her parent is thinking is, God damn it. Where did I mess up? That's what I would be thinking, like, that's not my kid. That's not my kid. But look at what she does. Right? Look how sweet that is. As humans, what can we learn from that? You know, I know there's all kinds of videos about this same thing, but with adults, where there's just somebody who's in need, or a kid who's in need, or something, and they're just walking by, right? Walking by. It blows my mind sometimes, where it's just, when it's so simple, what as humans we are capable of, and how different we are from the moment that we're a kid and our perspective to as an adult what our perspective is, right? Failure around us causes us to have this stigma in our mind of that it's a bad thing. But it's not, because failure means growth. Failure means that we're actually doing something and we're learning from it, and we're gonna move on to the next thing, and we're gonna take that lesson with us. And that happens, and that's okay. Learning from each other is what we need to do. So I'm gonna talk about learning, right? This is where I get to talk about myself for a little bit. Some of you guys who follow me on social media probably see all these gushy posts about my family. We love you, you're my best friend. But it wasn't always like that. I guarantee you. I mean, that's a staged photo, in case you couldn't tell. So I have my parents who have, as of this April, been married 40 years. Amazing, right? Of those 40 years, I'm pretty sure my mom was going to kill my dad 10 times. And my dad's a crazy guy. If you ever get to meet him, he's crazy. And so I have two siblings that they are my best friends today. But growing up, couldn't stand them at all. But I'm the oldest, right? And being the oldest was hard, because that means that you become a parent like instantly. Whenever I got to be the only child for 4 years before Roxy came along. And I remember, I remember the day my parents told me that we were going to have another family member, which I didn't really understand. I was like, okay, I have another birthday, we get another birthday party, that's cool. But when she came, I was not happy. And my mom will tell you I was not happy about it. But I remember we went to the zoo one day, the San Antonio Zoo, and Roxy was in a stroller, and we're going around and looking at something, I don't even remember, but we get to the hippopotamus part. And like now it's enclosed, like you can't even get close to them. But back then, it was literally a little concrete wall. It came to like right here, and you looked over and there they were down there, right? And they had water. And so I remember looking and I'm like, oh, cool, hippopotamus, right? So then I go and grab my sister, who's a baby, grab her, and I'm like, look. I hang her over the concrete wall. Meanwhile, the hippopotamus is down there, like mouth wide open. And I think my parents thought I was trying to feed her to the hippos, which I could have been, but my excuse was going to be, no, I just wanted her to see what they look like. But she was young. She needed to know. But our baby sister came along, and she could do no wrong, right? She's perfect. So baby sister comes along, and so I get it. I'm oldest, right? I'm in charge of them, which is how I became so bossy, is because I was in charge. That's in the Hispanic culture, the oldest is in charge, and if they get in trouble, I get in trouble because I should have been watching them to keep them from doing that. Right? So everything was my fault. So then I learned how to A, be bossy and tell them to get their crap together, because I wasn't going to get in trouble for them. And then B, I learned how to become a people pleaser, which was really hard. It makes it sound like, hey, yeah, I make everybody happy, but I went through a lot of therapy to not be a people pleaser. But I still have, little hints of it. But the thing about it is, my parents like to think that on the third try they got it right, right? They got the perfect child, she's great, she's beautiful, she's smart, all this stuff. But in reality, it was me failing and our other sister failing that she learned what not to do to get her way with mom and dad. So really, we are responsible for her being so awesome, is the way I like to see it. Because she learned, and I got to do nothing. I mean, I had to ask if I could even brush my teeth in the morning, right? Whereas she is just walking around, she gets to come and go as she please. And I was already out of the house by the time this happened, but I was like, ain't that something? Right? Rox was the rebel. She saw what I went through and how strict they were with me. So by the time she was 15, she's like, oh, hell no, I'm gonna do my own thing. And she literally became the rebel that she is. Y'all don't know that, but we learned. She learned from us, our failures. I mean, if you look at it, I don't think that we're failures. I think that we're pretty successful and good people, but we can admit that we did some things along the way that weren't right, that weren't the right way to do it. I mean, we still ended up okay, but the great thing is that somebody learned from us doing that, right? Now, if I were to have kids, I would know exactly what not to do and what to do, besides feeding them in the morning and the night kind of thing. But the thing about it is that there is no such thing as perfect people. Everybody has some kind of failures to admit to and to learn from, and each other's. We just have to be able to be willing to talk about them and be vulnerable with them. When you talk about people being vulnerable, they don't want to, because sometimes they think it's a sign of weakness, or they think that you're gonna look at me less. But in reality, to be able to be vulnerable, it takes courage, because you're willing to say, you know what, I tried and I didn't make it, but gosh darn it, I did try, and I'm gonna try again, and I'm gonna keep trying. Those are the kind of people that I like to surround myself with, because if somebody says that they're perfect, to me, that means they don't try at all. They're just status quo. They're like, you know what, I'm good. Don't need to change anything. I'm rocking and rolling over here. But how do we get where we're going if you don't? If somebody tells me they're perfect, I'm like, yeah, no, you're not, number one. Number two, then what do you live for? If everything's just perfect in your world, what do you do, right? Then people tell me that something's impossible. I love it when Matt tells us nothing's impossible that you don't have to do yourself. He tells us that all the time because he doesn't have to do what we do. Right? But I love this because it talks about impossible. It's just a word that people who don't want to try use. Oh yeah, that's impossible. Don't even try it. Really? Did you try it? Well, no, I figure it's impossible. Well, try. Right? Can I get an amen to that? Yeah. How many of you guys know Brene Brown? Yes. She is this amazing, I'll go back, hold on. She's this amazing, basically a philanthropist. She's a professor that studies humanity, people, empathy, shame, vulnerability, and stuff like that. So she wrote a bunch of books, but there's my favorite one, which my baby sister forced me to read, because I don't read. I do not read. My ADD, I can't read. But she forced me to read this book. It's called Rising Strong, and it's about being vulnerable. And quite honestly, if she hadn't made me read that book, I probably wouldn't even be up here today being vulnerable and raw enough to have this conversation. But when I read it, and then she did a follow-up book called Daring Greatly. And both of them are centered around this quote by Theodore Roosevelt. I wish I could say that I have it memorized, but like I said, I have ADD, and I'm gonna read it out to you guys so that y'all can know what it is. But this is how it goes. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does he actually strive to do the deeds? who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Listen to that last line, right? So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. That rings so true, because if you know neither victory nor defeat, you're not trying. And if you're not trying, I don't even want you to turn and criticize me, because you're not willing to put yourself out there and try yourself. How can you apply that to what you guys go through every day, right? Your regional manager is there. Hey, I need you to do this, and you're doing it wrong. You're doing it. Well, they've been there, so you do respect that, right? You do. It's hard to, when you hear somebody criticize you, some of the times it's hard to understand, well, you know what, maybe they have been there, they're just trying to help me. Instead of you feeling like a failure sometimes, I like to look at it as like they're trying to help me grow. They're trying to get me where I need to be, because they've been there and they want me to learn from their mistakes, like baby sister had to learn from mine, right? When you're vulnerable and willing to be vulnerable and make mistakes and push yourself to the point, that's when you're going to find out how strong you are. A lot of people don't realize how strong they really are until they do that, until they get beat up every single day. You guys get beat up by vendors, by residents, by investors, by accounting and all their emails. I saw that. Y'all get beat up. I get it. But what is important is that when you're getting beat up, where is your mind at? Is it understanding that you are a part of a bigger process and that you are doing everything and putting everything out there and you're not afraid? It is? Oh, I thought it was. I get it, girl. But the thing is, when you have those days, it's not, you're gonna have them. I guarantee you, you're gonna have those hard days. But it's how you deal with them when you get beat up. Right? So whenever I'm having a hard day, I listen to the song. I'm just going to play is it working? It's not working. Okay. So when I'm having a hard day, there's this one song that I listen to.
Sing it, Stacy.
You do not want that. But I do have it on my phone. I'm going to play y'all a little snippet of it because it's such a powerful song. I can't even explain it. It's so powerful that I got it tattooed on my body, right? It's my mantra. And so when I'm having a hard day where I'm just like, you know what, I can't deal with what's going on. I can't anymore. This is what I turn to. It's called Rise Up by Andra Day.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out, and move mountains, and
So that's kind of how it goes, right? So powerful. Because when you are down in that arena, dusty with blood and sweat, and you've put everything you've gotten into it. Sometimes it's hard to think about getting back up and dusting yourself off and saying, come at me, bro. I got more, right? There's that part of us that it's hard to rise up every day to all the challenges. If you just want to lay in bed and you're like, I'm done for today. And that's okay sometimes, but you gotta get back up. It's never giving up. Never. Because when you give up, that's when the enemy wins. Every time. It's scary because you get thrown into the unknown sometimes. Like you're drowning, you barely keep your head above water. So I want to share this story with you guys. It's a little bit funny, and I know this is a serious conversation, but so every summer, my parents would take us to the Texas coast for vacation, and we were still kids, and one time we were out at the beach and we saw one of those banana boat things. You know what I'm talking about? It gets pulled by a jet ski. So our dad's like, hey, yeah, let's go do the banana boat. We're like, oh, cool, Dad. We didn't know how to swim. We didn't know how to swim until we were like adults. So we go, you're laughing at that?
You said you would go every summer.
We did. We would literally go into the water like right here and just, this is fun, Dad. It's the little things in life, right? So he pays for us to do the banana boat. We put our life jackets on, and right at the same time, this big dude comes with his little kid. They want to get on too. Well, okay, they get their life jackets on. Well, the big dude with the little kid gets at the very front of the banana boat, right? Puts his kid and then him, and we're like, all right. So we get in the back. My sisters, my dad gets in the very, very tail end. So jet ski takes off, and it goes through the waves, kind of slow until he gets out past the barrier, and then he takes off. And so when he takes off and he does his first turn, well, of course, the law of physics, banana boat flips, right? We all go flying into the water, all different directions, literally. And so jet ski keeps taking off, doesn't realize that we have fallen, like literally fallen off. And we're far out. Like when we had looked back, I couldn't barely see Mom. Mom was on the beach just kind of watching us. So we fall, and me and Rox had kind of fallen together, so we're just kind of floating, right? We're just kind of waiting. We're like, oh yeah, they'll come back. But meanwhile, baby sister is over there kicking and flailing and crying. Dad, who's probably like 15 yards away from her, is like, goes into Baywatch mode. Swimming. And we're just watching. Me and Rox were like, okay, see what's going on. Swimming. Grabs her up. He's got her in one hand and swimming with the other. She's still crying. And so we're yelling at him. We're like, Dad! He's like, I'm coming! And we're like, so I'm sitting there, we're floating, and then all of a sudden, I try to stand up, and I stand up, and the water comes to right here. Right? So me and Rox are standing, watching, and we're yelling at him, Dad! He's like, I'm coming! I'm like, no! Dad, just stand up! And he stands up, and he's taller. He goes way down here, and he's holding baby sister who's just not having it. And we laugh about it, right? She's still traumatized. Like, she can't hear that banana boat song on the commercial. She's traumatized. But the moral of that story is there are so many times that we get thrown off that banana boat, right? And you just start panicking, freaking out. Oh my God, how do I survive? Keep my head above water. But sometimes you just kind of have to take that deep breath and be like, I know that there's something beneath me, and just take that moment to kind of gather yourself and put your feet firmly on the ground to realize, oh, okay, I'm okay. Yeah, this was a tough situation. Yeah, I got thrown off, but I'm okay. I'm good, right? It's one of those things where you don't give up. right? I'm going to talk about I'll show you this video. It doesn't need any sound, thankfully. But it's talking about not giving up. This little kid is like my hero. Yeah. I love that, right? That persistence, that drive. You think that kid just was playing and was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna jump. No. That kid had a dream. That kid had a dream, and that kid made it a goal. And then he put in the hard work. That is the difference between dreams and goals. Dreams is something that you think of, right? The dream is like, yeah, I'd love to do that. It's not until you make it a goal that it starts to become that reality. It's not that until you put in that hard work, that it actually starts making a difference. You know what a dream is like? Did I get water on me? Look at that. A dream is like a sneeze. A dream is like a sneeze. You know how when you hold in a sneeze, how it hurts and it makes you all like, bleh. A dream is like a sneeze where if you hold it in and you don't let it out, it eats at you and it makes you sick. You stress about it. You get frustrated with yourself. Like, why aren't I doing something? Why aren't I trying? You start to feel unaccomplished. When you set that dream out there, you set free, then it starts to become a goal. And when you start making it a goal, you actually start working towards it. And it becomes more than just a dream, right? It becomes something that you actually have put out into the universe and said, you know what, universe, guide me. This is what I want to do. I'm not going to dream anymore. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to do that motivational speech, and I don't care if they all walk out. Don't walk out, guys, please. It'd be horrible. My first one, everybody walked out. But I'm going to tell you guys, the universe is funny. If you listen, the universe talks to you all the time. All the time. You just have to be open to listening to it and hearing it and recognizing it. A long time ago, 12 years ago, I had a friend who her birthday was on July 7th. And it just so happened that she was turning 21 in 2007. So her birthday was 777, right? And she was from New York. So a group of us, we flew up to New York and we were gonna go spend a week on the Jersey Shore. This was before Jersey Shore was a show. Okay? We didn't follow those crazy people. But we went up there and we rented a house, and the really cool thing is on her birthday, we had made reservations at this really nice restaurant, a crab house, that was out over the water, right? So it was on stilts, and it was a really nice crab house. And so we had reservations for that evening. We were gonna take her to a nice dinner. And during the day, we thought we would go and try and catch crabs. Have you ever tried catching crabs? I had never done it. I'm from South Texas. I was like, literally we bought chicken drumsticks, raw chicken drumsticks, tied a string around it, and you hang it over the side of the edge and you wait. And you buy a net, and then you pull up the chicken, and there's crabs attached to it, and you get the net, and you catch them. We're like, it's cool. It's the easiest fishing I've ever done. So we did that for a couple of hours. So I mean, we were drinking and stuff, but we had set up next to a yacht club, and this guy had watched us playing catching crabs and stuff like that. So he came over and he talked to us. Now we were 4 young girls in bikinis, right, catching crabs. And this guy, imagine that, comes over and is like, hey guys, you want to ride in my boat? And Mom, don't listen to this part, but we went with him. We were like, there's 4 of us. So, we'll go on your boat. Cool. So we go on his boat and he takes us all through and shows us everything. And we lose track of time. We're like, oh man, we got to hurry. Like, we got to make our reservation. So we were running late. We run back to the house, shower, get ready, and we get in the car. We start taking off towards the restaurant, and we were already, like, it was almost time for our reservation. Actually, no, our reservation, like, we left the house at the time of our reservation. So we go, and as we're going, traffic stops. We're like, oh man, we're gonna miss our reservation, right? We were pretty upset at ourselves, but we were pumped. So we're sitting there, and traffic is not moving. And after like 5 minutes, all of a sudden, these ambulances and police cars start whizzing by us because we were on a 2-lane highway, one way in, one way out. They start whizzing by us, and so finally people are getting out of their cars, and we're like, what's going on? Nobody knew what was going on. So finally a cop pulls up, and he's trying to divert everybody to turn around. And so we ask him, we're like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, there's this crab house up here. The patio that is over water, the patio collapsed. Floor fell out. People hurt. Nobody died, thankfully, but people were hurt really bad. And so we were like, we just all froze. Like that crab house? They're like, that's the only crab house out there. If we had been on time to our reservation, that would have been us. And so, I mean, we're a bunch of 20-something-year-olds. I mean, it just hit us. We start crying, love you, man. But the universe guided us to not be there. For some weird reason, we went with a random stranger on his boat, and he could have Dextered us for all I knew. Sorry, Mom, I know. It's crazy. When you let the universe guide you, it blows your mind what it's capable of. Can you imagine if every day you woke up and had $86,400 deposited into your bank account? Every day you woke up, and what you didn't use went away at the end of the day. But you wake up the next day, you got a whole new $86,400. What would you do? What would you spend that on? In the bank of life, you get 86,400 seconds every single day. You wake up, you get brand new 86,400 seconds. How do you spend that? Does anybody even know? Like, I could probably think of so many things that I spend my time on that I shouldn't at all, right? Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. What you do with your time and how you let it affect you, it matters hugely. The environment, and I know I skipped it, but we're on integrity now, guys. We're on integrity. We're halfway there. What you do and what you surround yourself with determines your integrity. I know that people say integrity is what you do when people aren't looking. You do the right thing anyway. Well, yeah, that's right. But how do you know what the right thing is? It's the environment you surround yourself in. It's the people you hang out with. It's the mentality that you give that says, this is my environment, so that way I don't have to question my integrity because I'm in it. I live it every day. It's just me. That's what it is. When you think about that journey of life and how you have those dark days, a lot of people don't realize that those dark days make way for what you need in order to grow. It makes you stronger. It makes you think about the things that you need to do and how to get there. And it makes you appreciate those days. You have that voice inside of your head. How many, y'all know Big Brother? Not the TV show, everybody, oh, Big Brother is listening. I think Amazon is Big Brother. Amazon is Big Brother. The other day, I was talking to Rachel. Rachel wanted my recipe for ribs because I make some bomb ribs. And I was giving her the recipe. We were just having a conversation. And I was telling her the spices. I use this one special spice. I can't tell y'all what it is. But I use it. And I was telling her how to prepare it. An hour later, I get an email from Amazon that says, "Oh, did you want to order this spice?" What? How did you know, Amazon? Big Brother is like that voice inside your head. You have this voice that tells you, it narrates your life every day, and it tells you, oh, you can't do that. Oh, no, it's silly. People are going to think you're ridiculous for even trying to do that. Why would you do that? There's that voice inside your head, and if you train it to build you up, it would make the biggest difference in your life and what you do. When you build community with each other, you guys are a community right here. This is one community in your life. You have other communities, right? I have a Jeep. I'm not in a Jeep club. I want to be, but you have a Jeep. There's Jeep clubs, there's knitting clubs, there's church and everything like that. But you surround yourself with those people and stop letting that voice inside your head keep you from doing what you need to do, right? You change the perspective. When you start to think about things and thinking in that positive mindset, it starts to come your way. It makes it that much more powerful. I'm going to zip through some of these, right? Your journey that you have together as a community and as individuals determines who you are. It's how you make it happen, and the voice that you keep telling yourself that pushes you to be a better part of it. So let's go to A, aggressiveness. I'm going to send you all these memes because I got a lot of them. Hold on. Memes, more memes, memes. There we go. Aggressiveness, which is also action in my mind, and attitude. They all flow together. Being a leader, which all of you guys are a leader. Every single one of you in here, they're a leader, whether it's here, whether it's in your property, whether it's with your family, whatever it is, you are a leader. And what I love about working with Matt is that he sits there and he's like, don't call me boss, but I'll call him Jefe instead, because but it's because he's a leader. I don't want to be a boss. I want to be a leader. I want to be somebody that my team knows that I'm cranking it out with them day in and day out, and I'm in that arena with them day in and day out, no matter what. I like this. That's me and Matt right there. If serving is below you, leadership is beyond you. You serve your team every day. Everything that you do. Now, I'm not meaning like we serve them tea and biscuits, but you serving them, you're there without them, you're not a leader. Does that make sense? They look up to you because at one day they're gonna be you. So the example that you lead is what you need to show, right? We've had bad leaders before, many times. Companies lose employees because of bad leaders, right? They could be the greatest company, but it takes one bad leader and you just start losing good people all the time. This is me all the time too. Take note, Matt. But bad leaders, they just keep feeding you the same old crap, right? Over and over. It's not until you get into that better cycle of saying, you know what, as a leader, I'm going to be there for my team. I'm going to be there hard and work hard for them because they motivate me, right? Leaders can't motivate people. You can try all you can, but you'll never be able to motivate people. What you can do is create a motivating environment for them, and that's when they flourish. I want to go through this one. I think, this one. everybody, somebody, anybody, nobody. A team had 4 members called everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done. Everyone was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it. Nobody realized that that's everybody's job. Everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could do. Say that fast. So I'm going to tell you a last story for me, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So 4 years ago, at the age of 31, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And in that moment, a lot of people were like, I don't know what I would do. And I was one of those people, I don't know what I would do. But in that moment, there's this trigger that goes off, right? And you have a choice of becoming a warrior or just somebody who becomes a victim, right? There's 2 paths. And you don't get to all of a sudden on that day say, you know what, I'm going to change my mindset. I don't want to pick that path. I want to pick this path. It's something that you've already been. It's when you change your mindset and your attitude about things before things like that happen is when it matters most, because when it happens, it's too late for you to change how you think about things. And mind over matter is one of the biggest things that gets people through things that they don't think they can get through. Now, I'm not saying that my mind got me through cancer. I know I had great doctors, I had a great family and great support. But what made the difference is, even talking about it today, it doesn't feel like I went through it. It feels like an out-of-body experience happened, because all of a sudden I had all of this going on and did this and did that. And then when it was all said and done, I was like, that's it? Like, I did it? And like, that wasn't me. And I look at pictures and I'm like, yeah, that wasn't me. I don't remember that. I didn't do that. But it was. It was my mind took over and said, okay, we're going to fight this. Let's do this. Okay, don't think about that. Don't get me scared. We got this. And then all of a sudden you take it day by day and your mind keeps pushing you with an attitude of fearlessness and saying, you can get through this. And then all of a sudden you do, and then you look back and you're like, I did that. I didn't know I could do that. But I put my mind to it and I did it, right? When you put your mind to something, it doesn't let your body take over. If you think about that man in the arena, in there getting your ass kicked every day, if you're not willing to do that and you're not willing to put yourself through that and put your mindset to saying that you're going to do that, then I'm not interested in hearing your feedback or how I did it wrong or how I should have done it, quite honestly. So the last results, rewards, right? The more that you practice, the less you bleed in battle. When you set your mind and your attitude into that mindset, when you get to those tough challenges, it doesn't matter what it is, you're already prepared for it. And what people don't see, all they see is that you made it, but what they don't see is everything that you had to sacrifice and do to get there. Think about the Olympics. There are 16-year-old kids who don't even know what a Nintendo is, because all they've been doing is doing backflips day after day, right? The sacrifice. Luck favors the prepared. Nobody gets lucky and makes it to the top. It's really pushing yourself, and it's not comparing yourself. I know a lot of us, especially in this industry, it's a small world. We've got a lot of colleagues that went and worked for somebody else, and they're doing this, and they're posting on social media, oh my God, I love this new company. The grass is usually greener, right? But it's the same poo-poo over there, I guarantee you, because they're not going to post about the crap that they're going through with their clients and their residents and their cutoffs and everything like that. They're going through it. The grass is going to be greener where you water it every single time. And I just like this one. But when you work hard, you're not only working hard for yourself, you're working hard for your family, you're working hard for the people around you, because you're a community. And at Lind, we are definitely a community. That's all I got, guys.
Wow, that was impressive, right? Yes. Maybe if I had $5, I'd give it to her right now. I'd give you a drink ticket somewhere. All right, well, we have to clear the room so we can get it ready for the awards banquet. Thank you again, Stacy. Amazing. Phenomenal. I would hire her again in a heartbeat. Hey, what are you doing next year? All right, 6